Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. So starting with the news analysis video for 8th of October. So here we start with important topics. So this is from international relations. We see Israel is at war as Hamas attack leaves 200 people dead. So सबसे पहले जब हम इजराइल की बात करते हैं तो सबसे पहले माइंड में आता है इजराइल पैलेस्टीन इशू द टू स्टेट solution जो again the phrase is associated with Israel and Palestine conflict. And firstly जो हमारे लिए ध्यान देने वाली चीज है that is map work. तो map work की जब हम बात करते हैं we need to locate the Sea of Galilee, then again we need to be aware about West Bank, कौन सी countries के साथ वो land border share करता है, we need to know about the Gaza Strip. तो Gaza Strip की जब हम बात करते हैं तो Hamas is located there. और Hamas है क्या? It is a Palestinian Islamist group Hamas. It launched this biggest attack on Israel, जिसमें again 200 people lost their lives, claiming that it had taken dozens of hostages also. So this is the update, and you can see that they're located in Gaza. So Gaza Strip, this lies on the western bank of the Israel. बट जब हम वेस्ट बैंक की बात करते हैं तो वो इजराइल के ईस्टर्न बॉर्डर पे लोकेटेड है. तो यू नीड टू नो कि उसको हम वेस्ट बैंक क्यों बोलते हैं. सो ये कुछ निटिग्रिटीज है अराउंड दिस टॉपिक. एंड इजराइल पैलेस्टीन इशू इज समथिंग विच इज नॉट न्यू. काफी टाइम से, काफी सालों से इट इज बीन कंटिन्यूइंग, बट वी आर नॉट सीइंग परमानेंट सोल्यूशन टू दिस. एंड यहाँ पे हमेशा इंस्टेबिलिटी रहती है. सो ऑफ लेट वी आर सीइंग कि यूएसए हैज कम टू द सपोर्ट ऑफ इजराइल. जब हम इवन बात करते हैं रिकॉग्नाइजिंग जेरूसलम एज द कैपिटल ऑफ इजराइल, so there are some concerns about this also, that USA is in support of Israel. But जब हम बात करते हैं now इंडिया की क्या stance है on this issue, so definitely our stance is very independent stance. We that again we are supporting the two-state solution. So that's the update. And again, as I just said, कि map work becomes important, and जो भी locations मैंने just mentioned करी है, we need to know exact and the land borders and कौन सी country landlocked country है इस region में. That is also an important thing. Then GST Council की अगर हम बात करें तो it affirms 28% tax on online betting. From 1st of October, this would be implemented. So extra neutral alcohol and liquor production kept outside the GST. States empowered to tax the ENA. Blended flour with at least 70% millets made tax free. So millets को promote करने के लिए again उस पे tax नहीं लगाया जा रहा है. Minimum amount of tax GST impose किया गया है. Then levy on molasses, that has been also slashed from 28% to 5% to again lower the cattle feed cost and help the sugarcane farmers also. So this is again a step towards promoting more green energy. So GST Council की जब हम बात करते हैं, firstly periodically having those GST councils करना, that is important, because of late हम देख रहे थे कि they were not being conducted on timely basis. उसके अलावा जो main agenda था इस time GST council meeting में, it was मिलेट बेस्ड प्रोडक्ट्स को कैसे प्रमोट किया जाएगा. देन एक और जो चेंज किया गया है, दैट इज फॉर्मेशन ऑफ जीएसटी एपीलेट ट्राइब्यूनल. सो इसको गो एड मिल गया था लास्ट जीएसटी काउंसिल मीटिंग में भी, बट दिस वाज आल्सो अगेन इंपॉर्टेंट. सो डिफरेंट बेंचेस हैव बीन क्रिएटेड ऑल अक्रॉस इंडिया. एंड अपार्ट फ्रॉम दिस जो एक चेंज था, सीडेड द टैक्सेशन राइट्स ऑफ द एक्स्ट्रा न्यूट्रल अल्कोहल टू द स्टेट्स व्हाइल क्लियरिंग सेवरल लॉन्ग हैंगिंग इश्यूज. So the council it also signaled that there would be no backpedaling जब हम बात करते हैं ई-गेमिंग के ऊपर जो 28% GST impose किया गया है on online gaming industry, casinos and horse racing, and this would be applicable from 1st of October. So these are different aspects. And apart from this, जो एक और important part of reform, pending reforms है regarding GST, that is rate rationalization. So that would be also, we might expect it would be taken up by now the GST appellate tribunal. So these are some of the areas. And जब हम बात करते हैं GST monthly revenue जो collect करते हैं हम, so उनकी performance की अगर हम बात करें तो therein we can see कि the GST tax revenues are performing very nicely. and थोड़ा बहुत जहाँ हमें direct collection या फिर और बाकी tax sources में अगर हमें थोड़ा downfall देखने को मिल रहा है तो वहाँ पे GST tax revenues would be compensating. So there we are seeing robust growth in terms of GST tax collections. So as we just saw कि बिहार में भी कास्ट सर्वे किया गया था, तो we are now seeing the repercussions of that in other states. Like Rajasthan government has also ordered a caste survey as it was done in the state of Bihar. So exercise will be carried out even after the MCC comes into the force, and resultant data may be released subject to approval of election commission. This is what the official sources have to say, but we need to look into कि क्या MCC आने के बाद ऐसा सर्वे किया जा सकता है, नहीं किया जा सकता. So we need to now take into account that it should not impact the fairness of the elections. And apart from this, special software mobile applications develop की जाएगी so as to store the information, ensuring data privacy. So herein definitely Election Commission of India becomes very important stakeholder, specifically after the MCC comes into the implementation, it comes into the force. So as we were just talking about, India ka stance hai on the Israel-Palestine issue or this recent conflict after the attack of Hamas. So India stands in solidarity with Israel after attacks, and Indian embassy in Tel Aviv they've urged the nationals to maintain the security protocols and stay close to the safety shelters. Meghalaya Chief Minister said that at least 27 persons from the state visiting Bethlehem, they were struck following the conflict. So which again disruptions हमारे security concerns definitely exist करते हैं regarding the Indian diaspora which is located there. So Bhutan and China border demarcation talks, they are inching to completion. So this is again important for India also. जब हम बात करते हैं chicken snake corridor की, तो जो डोकलाम वाला area है, वहाँ पे again India, China, and Bhutan, we are having the land borders. So that's why if we are having peace specifically this region may and this issue is resolved, so that would be again ensuring the security, specifically in the border regions, and that is also important for the safety of the border villages located around such territory. So it's all about mutual understanding among the nations which are involved over the demarcation formula. So यहाँ पे again it is more between Bhutan and China, and जब हम बात करते हैं India China specific जो border issues हैं वहाँ पे भी we are trying to reach the mutual understanding regarding the border issues, but like we are having the disengagement talks going on, but so far ऐसा कोई major outcome नहीं निकल के आया, so the issue continues. So and talk about the Gaganyaan mission. So ISRO plans the Gaganyaan unmanned flight test and gears up for the abort mission also. So now we are moving forward in order to ensure that this mission goes successful, as we saw in case of Chandrayaan 3. So the flight test vehicle abort mission 1 that is expected to take place from October end from Satish Dhawan Space Center in Sriharikota. So again, जब हम बात करते हैं, whenever like we go through such news articles, so we pay attention to like कौन सा mission है, but जब हम बात करते हैं even location of the Satish Dhawan Space Center, so we need to now look into कि इसके इस लोकेशन के अराउंड कोई इंपॉर्टेंट लेक्स लोकेटेड है, कौन सी रिवर फ्लो करती है, कोई ऐसा इंपॉर्टेंट डैम लोकेटेड है या नहीं लोकेटेड है, क्या वाइल्ड लाइफ सेंचुरी लोकेटेड है. सो ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट हो जाता है. इस तरीके के क्वेश्चंस प्रीलिम्स एग्जाम्स में पूछे गए हैं ऑलरेडी. सो दिस इज ऑल्सो एन इम्पॉर्टेंट पार्ट ऑफ सच टाइप्स ऑफ news piece. Apart from this, जो technical details are, they are definitely important, which are associated with the Gaganyaan mission. So UGC, it is going to train over 1,000 teachers to teach Indian knowledge systems from the degree level. So question उठता है, why teaching Indian knowledge system is important? What significance does it hold? And डिग्री लेवल से ही क्यों, अब इसको हम स्कूल लेवल से क्यों नहीं कर सकते. सो दीज आर सम fundamental questions. So when we talk about the training, it is being imparted, keeping in mind University Grants Commission plans to make compulsory 2 credit courses also associated with the Indian culture and traditions in the first years of both the UG and the PG programs in the universities across the country. So if we definitely implement this thing, and if this is included in the national education policy also, so implementing this from the primary educational level, even that needs to be taken into consideration. That can definitely impact even the behavioral and the mindset of the children also from the early beginning. So that is going to form a part of their behavioral aspect and even shape their personalities accordingly.
Well, I think in the Indian school education system, we already have the Indian knowledge system which is running. But the irony comes in the universities where in the name of liberalism, actually no, actually some of the majority of people actually do not want to give stress on the Indian knowledge system, even the teachers including, and because of which we see a number of riots like which happened in 2019 in the University of Delhi North campus. So UGC has a focus on training teachers specially. So first they are training teachers so as to provide them Indian knowledge system and their exposure so that they can imbibe the spirit of Indian knowledge into the students rather than students comes ahead. So first the focus is on the teachers so that they should provide the quality education rather than focusing on one side of the coin.
Yes, so yes, this is an important aspect that even when we talk about now delivery, the quality delivery of the Indian knowledge system, so that all depends upon the knowledge of the teachers also. So training teachers is an important aspect. So when we talk about, when I was saying it needs to be again implemented and focused more upon even at the primary education level also. So I was saying that as we are taking this drive at the degree level, we need to now take into consideration this at the broader level also. Definitely it is being implemented, it is working at the primary education level already, but definitely that is not performing up to the mark. So in that sense we can again focus at the primary education level also. So different like areas, like you can see that main areas being covered are the parampara, the drishti, which is the perspective, and the lokik pariyojan, which is the modern relevance of the ancient Indian knowledge systems. So the 6-day training has been divided into 4 parts. Apart from this, like introduction to the pre-14th century Vedic texts, followed by the philosophical foundations of IKS, such as the Darshan Shastra, which is the Vedic philosophy, and vocabulary lessons containing words which cannot be translated, like karma and dharma. They will be covered in the 3rd part. So I would just say कि again ऐसे broader level पे school level में भी ये implement होना
आई
important.
थिंक आई थिंक जिस ब्रॉडर लेवल की हम बात कर रहे हैं तो उसमें हमें कोशिश ये करनी चाहिए कि जो हमारा यूजीसी लेवल पे या स्कूल लेवल पे जो पढ़ाने वाले हमारे टीचर्स हैं रादर देन को उनको स्पेशली ट्रेन किया जाए, we should incorporate the Indian knowledge system into the curriculum itself so that it becomes a mandatory thing for them, because when you are living in India, so it is very important and it should be a prerequisite to have the Indian knowledge rather than every knowledge, because prerequisite should be Indian knowledge and then the other knowledges. So in the curriculum that should be included.
It is being made a part of the curriculum only. यहाँ पे UGC level, degree level पे बात करें तो 2 credits would be associated with this also. So school level में भी it is a part of the curriculum already, जितना भी अभी we are following. So this is going to play an important role when it comes to decision making or handling pressure kind of situations.
No,
For the
currently it is not because it is clearly written they are planning to make. It is not
हाँ तो
so.
दे आर प्लानिंग ना, ये पूरा सिस्टम अभी तो प्लानिंग की बात चल रही है डिग्री लेवल पे, अभी कुछ इम्प्लीमेंट थोड़ी हुआ है. But they are basically going to make this also a part of the curriculum also. So that's what I was saying, as you just highlighted the same thing. Okay, move forward. So Ganga Ghagra Basin canals, they pose a threat to the dolphins. So when we talk about, according to this report, the data says that 24 rescue operations, they have been conducted from 2013 to 2025. Dolphins have died because of, again, river pollution and water pollution. So Gangetic river dolphins, they had been rescued from the irrigation canals. And we are having the Namami Gange program, but despite that, we are still seeing obviously it is going to take time, and it's been a lot of years that this program has been under implementation, but still pollution remains, river pollution remains a problem. And apart from this, jo IUCN status hai of the Gangetic river dolphins, that becomes important for us to identify. So here it is listed as endangered on the IUCN red list. Apart from this, this is again the National Aquatic Animal of India. And then when we talk about the Wildlife Protection Act. So it lies in Schedule 1 of this 1972 Act, Appendix 1 of the Convention on that is the CITES Convention, the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species. So it forms part of the Appendix 1 of this convention. And then it is also a part of Appendix 1 of the Convention on Migratory Species. So these are certain factual details which becomes important. And these dolphins, they survive in fresh water. So that's why they are basically dying, because of the river pollution. So the other 30% of dolphins, they were rescued during the peak summer when water level falls and even minimum water flow is maintained. So ये भी एक problem है, adequate amount of water भी maintain करना important है for their survival, apart from the quality of water. So this is a big issue. On an average, we rescue 2 to 3 animals, and other 2 to 3 animals, they may die in the canal network of the Gangetic every year without timely information. So ये जो पूरा डेल्टा है, it is we can see कि so we need to know कि कौन सी locations पे कौन से river systems में these dolphins are found. So these are found in the Ganga, Brahmaputra and Meghna delta. This is huge problem to monitor this huge area. Also इसको monitor करना, area इतना बड़ा है, that is again एक पूरा task and challenge है.
इसमें मुझे लगता है कि 2-3 स्टेप हम ले सकते हैं। जैसे कि सबसे पहला पोल्यूशन की बात है, तो वहां पर यूट्रोफिकेशन होने से हम प्रिवेंट कर सकते हैं बाय यूजिंग द टेक्नोलॉजीज। वाटर फिल्टरिंग कर सकते हैं। दूसरा ये ई फ्लो मेंटेन कर सकते हैं रिवर्स का बाय प्रॉपर चेक डैम्स एंड मेगा डैम्स। तीसरा हम ये कर सकते हैं कि थोड़ी बायोडाइवर्सिटी बढ़ा सकते हैं, नेचुरल फिशरीज क्रिएट कर सकते हैं ऐसे रीजन्स में जहाँ पर इनकी डोमिनेंस है। और उसके बाद ट्रैफिकिंग ना हो, इसके लिए जो हमारी इम्प्लीमेंटेशन अथॉरिटीज है उनको बोल सकते हैं कि स्ट्रिक्ट आप इम्प्लीमेंटेशन करिए ट्रैफिकिंग पे, पोचिंग पे। और इसके अलावा जो लास्ट स्टेप हम ले सकते हैं वो ये कर सकते हैं कि GIS बेस्ड टेक्नोलॉजी से इनका आइडेंटिफिकेशन कर सकते हैं कि इनका हॉटस्पॉट रीजन कौन सा है जहाँ पर ये अबंडेंस में पाई जाती है, और वहां पर इनकी जो डोमिनेंस है उसको किस तरीके से बरकरार रखा जाए। तो इन 4 या 5 चीजों पे हम थोड़ा काम करें तो इनकी इम्प्रूवमेंट हो सकती है।
Yes. Okay, so nicely listed points. Coming to the science page, यहाँ पे देखते हैं what are the important topics for the day. So malaria vaccine, जो second malaria vaccine announce की गई है, that is believed it is more efficacious and inexpensive. So R21 Matrix M malaria vaccine is the name. It has been developed by University of Oxford, manufactured by the Serum Institute of India. It has been recommended by WHO on 2nd of October. And war against malaria gets a shot in the arm with this announcement of this vaccine. So 3 countries, Nigeria, Ghana, and Burkina Faso, they've already approved this vaccine for the children aged less than 36 months. So again, Indradhanush mission जो है, it needs to be a part of this also, जो new vaccine announced की गई है. Then phase 3 trials and trials related, all the details are there. Primary vaccination was carried out prior to the malaria season. So it's important कि before the season comes in, the children, the susceptible, vulnerable population is vaccinated against this disease. Vaccine efficacy at the end of 1 year in children aged 5 to 36 months was 75%. In the malaria that is seasonal, and 68% when malaria is perennial. So efficacy definitely comparatively it is higher. And apart from this, what basically technology or method, scientific method is being used, that is also important for us to identify and understand that thing.
आई थिंक हर साल हम मलेरिया जैसी बीमारियों से जूझते हैं, तो देर इज नीड टुडे दैट वी शुड हैव अ कॉमन प्लान टू डील विद द मलेरिया लाइक थिंग्स एवरी ईयर बिकॉज इट बिकम्स अ फ्रीक्वेंट थिंग। तो इसमें अगर हम बात करें तो सबसे पहला जो हमें स्टेप लेना चाहिए वो लेना चाहिए कि जो हमारा वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट है उसको अकॉर्डिंग टू द रूल्स एंड गाइडलाइंस, जो भी हमारी बायोमेडिकल वेस्ट है उसकी गाइडलाइंस है, हैजार्डस वेस्ट है उसकी गाइडलाइंस है, ई वेस्ट है उसकी गाइडलाइंस है, ताकि इस तरीके की चीजें ना ज्यादा लेवल पे हो पाए। दूसरा ये हम प्रिवेंशन के तौर पे अलग अलग मेथड यूज कर सकते हैं जो हमारी एमसीडी और जो म्यूनिसिपैलिटीज हैं जो स्प्रे के मेथड से करती है, ताकि अर्ली प्रिकॉशनरी मेजर्स लिए जा सके। दूसरा वैक्सीनेशन अंडर द इंद्रधनुष प्लान एज यू मेंशन दैट शुड बी spreaded to the remote areas, especially in the villages areas where this problem is very high. इसके अलावा हमने ये भी देखा कि जो भी ऐसे एरियाज हैं जहाँ पर वेटलैंड ज्यादा है, यहाँ पर जैसे कि हमारे रूरल एरियाज में भी काफी जगह रहती हैं जहाँ पर ऐसी वेटलैंड रहते हैं इन द फॉर्म ऑफ तालाब्स एंड जोहर्स. So that should be properly monitored by the rural authorities, especially the पंचायती राज. वहाँ पर उनको स्प्रे वगैरह करवाना चाहिए. तो ये मल्टीपल स्टेप्स है. अ, हम मलेरिया जैसी चीज को इसकी जो फ्रीक्वेंसी है इसको कम कर सकते हैं. अगर आपके पास कुछ और पॉइंट है तो आप बता सकते हैं.
नहीं, और कोई ऐसा मेजर पॉइंट तो नहीं है, बट एक बस ये है कि वैक्सीन हेजिटेंसी से रिलेटेड जो है उसको हम काउंटर कर सकते हैं, जैसे कि मैंने पहले मेंशन किया कि इसको मलेरिया वैक्सीन को हम ऑलरेडी जो स्कीम है उसमें इंक्लूड कर सकते हैं. तो एक वैक्सीन हेजिटेंसी को हम ओवरकम कर सकते हैं थ्रू दिस, सो दैट इवन चिल्ड्रन दे आर नॉट ससेप्टेबल टू मलेरिया. सो बाकी पॉइंट्स आपने मेंशन कर दिए ऑलरेडी. सो प्लास्टिक्स हमारी डेली लाइफ को कैसे अफेक्ट करते हैं, दिस इज इम्पोर्टेंट टू अंडरस्टैंड, एंड अकॉर्डिंगली people can also then be responsive more towards their actions whenever it comes to plastic usage, or giving up and looking up for other alternatives to plastics. So we see ki downside is there is a downside to the plastic age, but the UN environment program hai, it points out ki every day equivalent of 2000 garbage trucks full of plastic they are dumped into the world's oceans, rivers and lakes. So इनडायरेक्टली ये कहीं ना कहीं जो हमारी फूड चेन है, फूड वेब है, उसको बिल्कुल इम्पैक्ट करता है. प्लास्टिक पोल्यूशन इज अ ग्लोबल प्रॉब्लम. एवरी ईयर वी सी 19 to 23 million tons of plastic waste. It leaks into the aquatic ecosystems, polluting lakes, rivers and seas. So this is one problem. Microplastics की definitely there is a huge problem जब हम बात करते हैं even using in it, whether cosmetics हो या जो plastic bottles हम use कर रहे हैं, the quality क्या है उस plastic की, that is important. So कहीं ना कहीं we are ingesting that into our bodies also when we are using such types of plastics for, like, suppose whether it's bottle or even when we are reusing such plastic bottles. So that's there, and definitely हमारी health को impact करेगा, हमारे livelihood को impact करेगा, जो food production capabilities है, social well-being है, इन areas में हमारा direct impact होता है. तो जो अब scale and intensity है वो increase हो चुकी है. So that's why the problem has become a huge challenge. And UNEP it points out कि जो environmental, social, economic and health risk हैं plastic से associated that needs to be assessed alongside other environmental stresses जैसे कि climate change. So very little of plastics we discard every day is recycled or incinerated in waste to energy facilities. So one of the possible solutions of dealing with this plastic waste or plastic pollution is using that in waste to energy facilities, जो again energy generation में भी help करेगा. How we can recycle and upcycle the plastic, how even of late we are seeing कि specifically textile industry में or the fashion industry, they are also trying to focus upon the sustainable production of textiles. So उसमें भी manufacturing में somewhere plastic is also being used as a raw material. So that can be another area where we can again generate a huge kind of a business through this. So that's there, and the greenhouse gases emitted by the plastic, they're affected. They have affected the global temperature also, costing over $300 billion annually. So what citizens should do? So herein, when talk about our daily lives, so again we need to go with the alternatives to plastics, like we use jute bags or reusable bags, and completely stop the usage of plastics. Apart from that, recycling the plastic, that is a method of production of the vital resource of liquid and gaseous fuels also. So herein also plastics, recycling of plastics can help us. So this is another solution. Thermal and catalytic degradation and gasification एक दूसरा alternative है, methods for recycling of the plastic waste to produce fuel having properties similar to the commercial fuels. So this can be used at commercial scale. So these are a few solutions. So Pravesh, do you have any other unique solution for this problem?
Yeah, like in the geotextile we can use it. Then in the road construction we can use it. Then in the recycling, upskilling, and 3 types of recycling things are today, which the government is focusing. We should focus on. Number one, and apart from that, behavioral change is very much required. Where you have mentioned the example that jute bag, and the thin kind of plastic which is being produced today. I'm not able to remember the name. I think it is polythene plastic. So that should be in use, very thin plastic. having very less Apart from that, what we can do is incineration techniques and waste to energy technology plants we can invest. We can take the help of CSR like funds to actually work in this regard. And इसके बाद हमें सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट ये देखना होगा कि जो हमारी प्लास्टिक जनरेट हो रही है वो बेसिकली रूल्स इम्प्लीमेंटेशन की बात है कि मतलब जितने भी हमारे रूल्स हैं प्लास्टिक को गवर्न करने के लिए, प्लास्टिक वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट रूल 2011, उसका स्ट्रिक्टली इम्प्लीमेंटेशन होना चाहिए. बिकॉज व्हाट वी सी दैट डिस्पाइट रिलीजिंग the mandate into the public sphere, the agencies actually are not able to perform their work effectively, and that leads to a lot of plastic generation in the civil society. So our agency should be very much active in controlling and curbing the excess of plastic pollution, especially the municipality.
Even when we talk about the extended producer responsibility, तो this is a unique kind of initiative, but इसका again जो आप mention कर रहे थे कि implementation बहुत important है, तो larger scale पे इसका implementation और इसके implementation के साथ क्या impact देखने को मिला है, उसको assess and understand करना important है.
Yes. और दूसरा सबसे अच्छी चीज जो है वो देखने में आई है, जैसे कि हमारे जो PWD डिपार्टमेंट है, CPWD डिपार्टमेंट है, इन्होंने किस तरीके से आगे बढ़कर के जो प्लास्टिक वेस्ट है उससे रिक्रिएशनल फैसिलिटी शुरुआत की है. जैसे कि वी हैव अ प्लेस रोहिणी इन दिल्ली, देयर वी हैव द आई थिंक इंडियाज लार्जेस्ट प्लास्टिक waste park which is being created by the PWD department. So these kinds of initiatives should be done by the municipality authorities, obviously in which the civil society has an active role to play.
Yes, so basically we can use plastics even for the recreational facilities as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so when we talk about the world of electrons, since this area has been awarded the Nobel Prize, so this is for physics, so the discovery is definitely important. When we talk about attoscience, attosecond science, so here in attosecond science, it includes attosecond physics or attophysics भी इसको address करते हैं. It deals with the production of extremely short light pulses and using them to study super fast processes like even rotation of electrons in an atom. So the hummingbird's wings, they beat 80 times in 1 second. So it means single beat would last 1/80th of the second. So at its best, human eye, even that can see up to 60 frames per second, so which is not good enough to see a single wing beat as it happens. So instead the wings motion, that would appear as a blur. So one solution is to use a digital camera for that, which creates photographs by capturing the light coming from a source using a sensor. So to capture a single wing beat, the camera, so यहाँ पे basically attosecond को explain करने के लिए, this is the example that they have taken. Apart from this, so what is the physics of producing an attosecond pulse? So when we talk about the concept underlying this production of attosecond pulses, they come from wave mechanics. And 1988 के अगर हम बात करें, so person Annie L. Wheeler, who has been awarded the Nobel Prize, apart from 2 other people as well, and her colleagues, 1988 में, they passed a beam of infrared light through a noble gas. So they found कि जो gas था, it emitted light whose frequency was a high multiple of the beam's frequency. For example, if the beam frequency was 10 arbitrary units, so emitted light जो थी उसकी frequency थी 50 units, 60 and 70 units also. So इस phenomena को हम बोलते हैं high harmonic generation, and जो emitted waves थी, they are said to be the overtones of the original wave. So they actually found out कि they increase the frequency of the original beam, and उसके बाद the जो intensity थी of the emitted light, it dropped sharply, then stayed constant for a range, and उसके बाद it dropped again. So कुछ findings हैं, important findings हैं, and ऐसी definitely जब हम science की बात करते हैं तो since obviously this has been awarded a Nobel Prize, so ये हमारे लिए बहुत important हो जाता है even from the perspective of examination and applications of attophysics. It is also an important area for us to understand. So herein when you talk about its application, so it can be used in microbiology, femtochemistry, and apart from this, microbiology जो है, it has alerted us to the bacteria, और जो femtochemistry है, it has allowed us to finely manipulate the chemical reactions. So basically जो efficiency है, effectiveness है of certain reactions, that has been increased with this new discovery. And apart from this, जब हम Nobel Prize in Chemistry की बात करते हैं तो quantum dots becomes an important area. So quantum dots hoti kya? It is a really small assembly of atoms, just a few thousand, around a few nanometers wide. So quantum in its name, it comes from the fact that jo electrons hain in these atoms, they have very little space to move around. So jo crystal hai as a whole, it displays the quickery effects of quantum mechanics. So quantum computing में these again quantum dots, they have an important role to play. So एक basically इनको हम artificial atoms भी बोलते हैं because जो dot as a whole है, it behaves like an atom in some circumstances, not always. So ये कुछ minute areas हैं, these are important for us to note down and understand them. Why are they of interest? So again यहाँ पे applications important हो जाती हैं. So herein we see कि जो properties है quantum dot की, they change based on how big it is. So just by tweaking the size of these quantum dots, scientists, they can change, suppose the quantum dots melting point also, or how readily it participates in a chemical reaction. So ये एक बहुत important area हो जाता है कि जो properties है quantum dots की, they vary and they change according to the size of those quantum dots. So applications of quantum dots, so they can be used in a TV screen by receiving the electric signals. Apart from this, they control basically the path of the chemical reaction by placing some quantum dots in the mix. So that's important role that they facilitate. Apart from this, semiconductors may they're important. Thermodynamic efficiency, we'll talk about that. So that is as high as 66%, and definitely quantum computers, as I just mentioned. So वहाँ पे इनकी important application role है. And this is again medicine में जो Nobel Prize है, that is to the mRNA technology. So you can just go ahead with this factual. These are all factual things. So then literature में Nobel Prize, this again we have already seen, goes to an Iranian person. So who's been fighting for women's rights and freedoms and against the death penalty, despite the lengthy prison terms that she's been serving in health, certain challenges she's for separation from her family as well. So these are a few important areas. Nobel Prize in Literature. So sorry, this was Nobel Peace Prize. This is here we have Nobel Prize in Literature. So all of them have been mentioned. So you can just go through them. So India offers huge potential for the aviation sector. So definitely there exists huge potential when we talk about the Udan scheme also. So Udan scheme के announcement के बाद we are seeing कि earlier, taking an air flight used to be kind of a luxurious thing, which was again enjoyed by high economic class. But with this scheme and again with increased competition, we have seen that even common people have been able to, easily use the air flights and, travel easily through air travel. So यहाँ पे अब हमारे लिए जो important चीज हो जाती है safety that is related to the aviation sector and consumer safety. So firstly, when we talk about the safety regarding the travel, so herein we'll be talking about the performance of the pilot. So pilot training is important, and when we talk about even the sleep cycle, so ये सारी areas monitor करना important हो जाते हैं for the pilot. Apart from this, जब हम बात करते हैं consumer safety की, so herein we'll talk about the pricing mechanism that is used when it talks about the airfares. So इसमें एक again discussions are going on around कि we need to have a proper formula for deciding the airfares. So these are certain areas and it is expanding at about 10%. This expanded, the civil aviation sector expanded at 10% during the last decade. And even when we talk about the rising density of the number of airports in India being created, so even that is also facilitated air travel for the common people. So anything new that Pravesh you want to add up for the civil aviation sector part?
Yeah, I think the rising per capita of every individual will leads to more aviation utilization.
Yes. Okay, huh. We can connect this also. So why did Hamas it launch a surprise attack on Israel? इसके पीछे reason क्या है? So Hamas infiltration and rocket fire, it is reminiscent of the 1973 Yom Kippur attack by the Egyptian and the Syrian troops and took Israeli forces by surprise, raising questions on the intelligence failure. So that's one angle. जब हम बात करते हैं divisions in the Israel, so basically, okay, deepening occupation. First reason कि जो Palestine-Israel relations है, they have steadily deteriorated recent years. We are very well aware about this. So Israel has been carrying out military raids in the occupied West Bank almost on daily basis. At least 200 Palestinians, some 30 Israelis, they have been killed. So जो एक main issue जो चल रहा है, there has been no peace process around that. Then divisions in Israel की बात करें तो Israel is also going through a difficult phase. So country is ruled by its most right-wing government whose key domestic agenda is to overhaul the structures of power so that the elected government would be more powerful than other institutions. So even within Israel there are certain political divisions going on. Geopolitical angle की बात करें तो it is unlikely to be coincidence that Hamas attack came when Israel and Saudi Arabia, they are in advanced stage of normalization talks also. So herein इसकी वजह से भी we might expect कि Hamas has led basically conducted this attack against Israel, growing closeness of Israel and Saudi Arabia, or being, taking efforts to restore their relations. So herein, that is the third possible reason behind this war.
So, Mansi, what do you think? Do Israel and Palestine is going to have similar kind of situations for long? And what we can actually think of as a solution in this matter? Can we go for a ceasefire like thing as happened between India and Pakistan when we were also having the similar kind of incident?
So herein ceasefire की जब हम बात करें, I don't think so that is going to be a long-lasting thing जब हम Israel Palestine issue की बात करते हैं, क्योंकि यहाँ पे multiple चीजें एक साथ वर्क कर रही हैं. अगेन जब हम ज्योग्राफी की भी बात करते हैं तो दैट इज ऑल्सो इम्पोर्टेंट. ग्लोबल सपोर्ट की भी बात करते तो इंडिया और पाकिस्तान में वी वर द ओनली बायलेटरल पार्टीज, कोई वी डिडंट अलाउ एनी थर्ड पार्टी टू इंटरफेयर. सो इस इशू में ऐसा नहीं है इजराइल पैलेस्टीन में. सो आई डोंट थिंक सो कि सीज फायर इज गोइंग टू बी लॉन्ग लास्टिंग इन दिस केस. And possible solution क्या हो सकता है? Again, we can use the platform of United Nations where we are seeing कि Israel को जो support मिल रहा है, USA is supporting that. So even that is one thing. And how even rising जो world powers है, जब हम बात करते हैं even India की भी, तो we are supporting the two-state solution. So different countries, they need to come together, specifically the rising global powers, and we need to then discussion and diplomacy is the most reliable possible solution or the method to restore peace in this region.
So I think rather than the diplomatic relations can do anything, I think the civil society of both these two territories definitely can have some solutions, because they can generate a human rights protection feeling in these two territories to prevent such kind of incidents.
So civil society, definitely they can play, but yeah, government is also an important part, because attacks, such major level of attacks are being conducted. So even governments also need to be on the same page when it comes to resolution of this conflict. Because again,
no, obviously the government have to come, but I am saying the back and forth behind the government step towards
yes,
this, that should come from the civil society, as we saw in the North Korea and South Korea, when these two countries in the Asian Peninsula were also having the similar thing, but because of the realization that nothing lies in the war, they actually came on a table and decided on a common terms.
हाँ, we can't ignore कि civil society का role नहीं है. Definitely that is an important stakeholder to this issue or to any war. So see कि Asian Games जो चल रहे हैं, we expect कि this time we might hit 100 gold medals record this time. So all that glitters is gold indeed for India. So we are seeing different sports में we are कुछ ऐसे sports पे जिसमें we are for the first time winning a medal or we are winning a gold medal. So definitely growth of sports is visible. And as I just said कि जो India का target है of achieving 100 gold medals, so we expect कि we make this record this time. So apart from this, we'll continue in part 2 of this video.